Okay, this is the linear regression retake video. It's the second unit for Math 8. Um, you are watching this because either you actually need extra help, which is fine, that's great, and I'm really glad that you're getting this extra help, or because you didn't study and you didn't take the time to actually put in through the test and really practice. And I know in my class I gave like 10 minutes of study time, and a lot of you did not use that to your advantage, and here you are, and it's just wasting everyone's time. Um, so how this works is I'm going to go through each learning target. So you only have to redo the learning target that we told you have to redo. So you actually only have to watch that part of the video and you can fast forward. But before you fast forward, what's going to happen is I'm going to teach it and then I'm going to give you practice problems. For you to retake, you have to take notes on this, and then there's a couple of practice problems. You either have to have them done or bring them in if you don't know how to do them still on your own, and we will help you. If you have them already done, when you bring them to us, you can retake your test right then. If not, we will go over how to do it face to face when you come in with the problems if you don't know how to do them. And then we'll reschedule another time for you to come take the test. So we're going to start with learning target 1. So this is creating a graph from a description. Okay. You buy an iPhone 4S for $150 and then pay $20 a month. Graph the description. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write an equation. We're starting with buying a phone for $150. So if I'm buying, I'm spending $150. For $20 a month, then I also pay that, so I'm losing $20. I'm losing $20. So now I'm going to make a little table of values. Little table of values. So you should be copying this all down. If you need to pause the video until you understand it. So my first thing, at the first month I buy the phone, I'm only paying $150. Second month into my phone, I have the $150 plus I'm also paying $20. So now I ended up paying $170. Month 2 into having my new phone, I paid my original $150. I paid month 1, and then I'm also paying month 2, which would be I'm in the hole $190. So now all I have to do is graph these points. I have negative numbers. You can make a T-chart if you want to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show negative numbers and positive numbers by doing this. Here's my Y. Here's my X. So this is my Y. Here's my X. So this way my Y's are going negative, my X's are going positive. So my X's, I can just count. This is my 0, right? Here's my 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. I'm counting by ones. Here's my Y's. I'm going to count by tens. And I'm going to... Yep, this works. So it's going to be negative 10, negative 20, negative 30, negative 40, negative 50, 30, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 70, and then I'm going to keep going, 180, 190. And they're all minus. They're all minuses. So now all I have to do is plot these points. Where X is 0, here's where my X is 0. My Y is a negative 150. So that's going to be right here on that line. Where my X is 1, my Y is negative 170. There's 160. There's 170. When my X is 2, my Y is a negative 190. So there would be 180. So I'm going to assume that there's 190. So then I need my line. I'll keep it red. There's my line. Except I'm not done. I still need to title my graph. So this could be, the whole thing is about cell phone cost. The whole thing is about cell phone cost. Then I come over here and I actually look. I'm going to look at these y's. I started with minus 150, then minus 170, then minus 190. If you're actually confused about this, go into the problem and look where it says that minus 150. Here is that 150. What's that thing that goes with that 150? It is a dollar sign. So this is $150 and minus $170. So that's all going to be money. So if you just read the problem where that y-intercept is, that first point, it tells you right there, there's the money sign, that it's money. Then I have to think, at 0, I had 150. Then at 1, I go this, oh, what's the other thing here? Oh, that's months. This is the number of months. The first month, the second month, the third month, the fourth month. So those are the things you need. You need numbers, you need labels, and you need points with an arrow. Let's try another one together. Rich buys a bunch of soda for $6. He then sells each can of soda for $2 to raise money for cancer. Graph this description. So again, I'm first going to start with my equation. So if he has to buy the soda, he is spending his money, he's losing it. So that's where he's starting. That's the first thing he has to do is he has to buy the soda. Then he sells it. When he's selling them, he's gaining money. So he's gaining $2 for each can. I don't know how many cans. So now I'm going to make my table of values. If Rich doesn't sell any cans, he still has minus $6. If he sells one can, he gains $2. So then that 6, instead of him having less $6, he now only has less $4. If he sells 2 cans, he made $2 for that. So remember, we can always do this by doing this. Y equals 2x minus 6. To find my 0, I can put in my 0 for x. To find my 1, I plug in my 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 6 is a negative 4. So to find my 2, 2 times 2 is 4. So he gets $4 from selling the soda, but he spent $6. So now he is only minus 2. If he sells 3 cans of soda, so 2 times 3 is going to give me my 6, minus my 6. Now he breaks even. Not until he sells 4 cans will he actually gain $2. Now he starts making money. So now I need to plot these points. So since I have negative and positives, I am going to use a T-chart from the way that I did this. I'm going to use a T-chart. Now, whatever kind of chart you want to use, you can use. It's a blank graph. Make it however you want to use it. I don't care. So if I look at my x's, I'm going to count up by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I look at my y's, I can count by 2's if I want to. Or I can just count by 1 since my graph is so big. Might as well count by 1's. This is going to be 1, 2, 3. So now all I have to do is plot these points. So where x is 0 at the origin, y is negative 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where x is 1, y is negative 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the negative direction. Where x is 2, y is negative 2. Here's 2. Down 1, down 2. Where x is 3, y is 0. Where x is 4, y is 2. So that's where he starts gaining his money. Now I put my line through it. So I'm almost done. I have my graph, I have my points, my line, and my numbers. Remember, I always need numbers, otherwise I don't know what these plots are that I'm pointing. Now, what is this graph about? So I'm going to say it's about Rich selling soda. So remember, now I'm going to look at all these y values. All these y values. I'm starting at a -6. What was that -6? Then I go to -4. But if I look up here, there's a 6. Why is it down 6? Because he's buying soda for $6. Dollars is an amount of money. So the y always goes on this side. My x, I start with 0, I start with 1, I start with 2. What's my other thing? When I don't do any of this, I have -6. When I do 1, I have 4. Okay, that must mean that's, oh, he's selling the soda. So it's the number of soda cans sold. So now if you had to retake Learning Target 1, you should have taken notes on these two problems, and then I want you to either practice or write these down if you don't know how to do them and bring them in. This problem right here and this problem right here. So you can pause it, copy it down, and do it, or just pause it and copy it and bring it in so we can help you. Pause and copy this one down and do it, or pause and copy this one down so we can help you. Now it's Learning Target 2. So if you had to retake Learning Target 2, this is where you're watching. This is graphing a linear relationship from an equation. So I'm going to highlight these and do them all in different colors. So I'm going to do this one in yellow, and this one in green, and this one in red, and this one in blue. I'm going to do them all in the same graph. You don't have to. You can do them on 3 separate graphs. I'm just going to do them all in the same graph. So the yellow one, so let me get a yellow marker. The first thing that I start with is this -4. That is my y-intercept. The minus tells me to go down. So I'm starting at the origin, I go down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Plot a point. Then there's a 3x. I like to make it look like rise over run, or my y over x. So I like it to be in a fraction. This isn't in a fraction, so I put it into a fraction by putting it over 1. So then that tells me up 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1. Up 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1. Or I can go opposite, down 3, 1, 2, 3, back 1. So I'm rising 3, I'm running 1. Rising 3, running 1. Then all I need is my line with my arrows. It's a continuous line. So let's try green. So again, my first thing here is a +1. So I'm starting 1 above. This is a -x. So I'm going to write that over here. So y equals -x plus 1. What number normally goes with an x if there's nothing there? We talked about this. It's a 1. So this is the same thing as -1x plus 1. And again, we can make it a fraction by sticking it over 1. So what this is telling me to do is to go down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, positive 1. Or I can go opposite, up 1, backwards 1, up 1, backwards 1. So when I put my line on this, I always can double check. There is a negative outside of that x, which means my slope should be negative. And slope dude tells me that this is a nice negative line. So always double check. Negative here, there's a negative line. This was a positive, that's a positive line. So right away, I know that this should be a positive line, which means I want a line going up. There is no negative outside my x. I'm starting at -2. So here's origin, 1, 2. Starting 2 down. Then I'm going to go up 2, right 3, 1, 2, 3. Up 2, right 3, 1, 2, 3. Or I can go down 2, back 3. Down 2, back 3. So then when I get my line, it's going puff, puff, positive like it's supposed to be. And then my last one. Here's a minus with an x, so my slope is negative. So that means I want a line that says nice negative. I notice that there's no plus or minus anything. It's just -3 over 5x. There's nothing here. When there's nothing there, we can assume that's the same thing as +0. So we start on the origin. There's nothing written there. I have an x, which means I have a slope. There's my m. I have no b. When there's no b, I start in the origin. Now the minus can go with either one. It can be negative 3 over 5 or or 3 over negative 5. So I can go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 5. Or you can go up 3 and back 5. Up 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's always rise over run, rise over run. So when I graph this, it is pointing down. It's a nice negative. There we go. So my suggestion is when you first look at a problem, I would go, okay, the x, here's my x. It's a positive, so my line needs to go this way. Here's an x, it's a negative. My line needs to go this way. Here's my x, it's a positive. My line goes that way. Just let yourself know to double check, okay, is my line going up to the right? Good. So if you had to redo this learning target on graph paper, we want you graphing these 4 lines. If you're going to do them all on the same graph, label them. Like once you graph it, label this is my 3x, negative 3x plus 5. Remember, this is the same thing if you don't like how that's written. Y equals 1 over 4x minus 3. That would be y equals negative 2 over 5x plus 1. So you're graphing all 4 of these. You can do them on all different graph, all on the same. You can use different colors like we did. Either way, you're either graphing these or writing these problems down, bringing them in and saying you need help. So pause the screen, copy it down, do it. Go back and review whatever you need to do. This is for learning target 3. So if you need to do learning target 3, create a linear equation from a description. So Megan goes trick-or-treating. She gets 3 pieces of candy from each house. Write an equation, go with a description. So what I always do is I'm going to write y equals blank x plus. So that way I don't forget my x and I don't forget my y. So I'm just going to do that in all of these. All right, so then I like to fill in what I'm starting with. She goes trick-or-treating. She gets 3 pieces of candy from each house. Well, if she's going trick-or-treating, she's getting candy. She starts with no candy. When you go trick-or-treating, you start with an empty bag. Then she's gaining 3, she's earning, that's a positive number. Jesse paid $35 for guitar lessons. He gets paid $4 for every solo he performs. So the first thing that Jesse has to do is he actually has to pay for the guitar lessons. He can't just start getting paid if he's never had lessons. So if he's paying for lessons, he is losing money. He is losing money. That's what I'm starting with. The starting value always goes on the outside without the x. Then he's getting paid. So that means he's earning money, so it should be a positive 4. A positive 4. Frank is 120 meters away from his friend's house. He's walking at a speed of 2 meters per second. I'm going to accept 2 answers for this, depending on how you're looking at it. So if you're thinking that you're 120 meters away, away would mean a minus. You're away from it. But then you're walking towards it at a speed of 2. You're away from it and you're walking towards it. So this is minus and this is a plus. Another way you can think of it is that you're starting at 0 and you're trying to get to 120, so it's a positive 120. But then when you're walking, you're canceling out the distance. You're canceling out your distance by walking. So on this kind of problem, one's a positive, one's a negative. My starting point is still 120. It just depends on if you see it as a negative, it's away, or if it's a positive, you're building up to get to 120. And then how you think of it is what your 2 should be, positive or negative. It is 6 degrees below 0. It gets colder by 2 degrees every day. So I'm starting at 6 degrees below 0. It's not just a 6 because it's 6 below 0. So when it's below, it's going to be a negative. It's getting colder. So when it gets colder, that means the temperature is dropping. It's dropping by 2. So these problems, you just have to read it and think, where are you starting and then what's happening? Where are you starting and then what's happening? So if you had to redo this learning target, you are going to copy down these 4 things. You don't have to write an equation for a description. Pause this, copy these down, and write your equations, or pause this, copy this down, bring it in so we can help you write an equation. Learning target 4, this is if you need to redo learning target 4. Create a linear equation from a table. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm always going to write my y equals blank x plus, so that way I don't forget my x. Then I'm going to find, the easiest thing for me to find is where my x is 0. Here's where my x is 0. I'm going to go across. That's a y is -1, so that -1 is going to go at the end. That's my y-intercept. My y-intercept is always where my x is 0. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my changes. My change from -1 to 2 is I have to go, so if this is hard for you, literally just draw a number line. There's -1, 0, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. I'm going up 3. 2 to 5, I'm going up 3. 5 to 8, I'm going up 3. 0 to 1, up 1. 1 to 2, up 1. 2 to 3, up 1. So now I'm going to look at these as separate things. They are all the same, so this is an easy problem. All I do is put my y over my x, my y over my x, my y over my x. You just put that here, 3 over 1, or that's the same thing as 3x plus a -1, or y equals 3x minus 1. However way, all of these are correct. It's your y over your x. When they're all the same, it's really easy. You just put this side over that side. So let's come over here and look at this one. I'm going to put, so that, ready? There's where they split. That's that problem. So remember, you should be copying all of these down. So I'm starting with y equals blank x plus. These are in order. I'm going from negatives to my positives. Here's my 0. I look across. There's my y-intercept. It's going to be a +16, so I can just write 16. Then I'm going to find my changes. To get from -2 to 0, I add 2. To get to 0 to 2, I add 2. 2 to 4, I add 2. 23 to 16. Actually do the math. Don't sit there and get a 3.7 because you make a silly mistake. We have to borrow. 13 minus 6 is 7. 1 minus 1 is 0. So this is going down by 7. 16 minus 9 is 7. 9 to 2 is I'm taking away 7. So I'm going down by 7. So again, these are all the same. So I put my y over my x, my y over my x, my rise over my run, my change in y over my change in x, my change in y over my change in x. And so that's all it is. It's my change in y over my change in x. Let's do 2 more. Here, this is the tricky one. These are not in order. These are not in order. So I'm going to reorder them. I'm going to make my own little table and redo this. Okay, so my smallest number is -1, then 0, then 3, then 7. Except I don't rearrange, I don't leave this as 64, 28, 1, 12, 16. I have to rearrange these so they stay together. Like this 3 always has to be next to that 64. So there's my 3. It should be next to the 64. They're married. They're a married couple. We can't separate them. That 0 goes with the 28. The 7 goes with the 112. This -1 goes with the 16. So now I just do the same thing. Here's my 0. It goes with my 28. You can always double check. Here's 0. It still goes with 28. It shouldn't change from either graph. So this is going to be 28. So now I find my changes. To get from -1 to 0, I add 1. To get from 0 to 3, I add 3. To get from 3 to 7, I add 4. To get from 16 to 28, I add 12. To get from 28 to 64, I add 36. To get from 64 to 112, I add 48. So I'm doing that in my head. If you needed to, you could have done this. So, so 28 minus 16, 8 minus 6 is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. That's how you get 12. 64 minus 28, oh, I need to borrow. 5, 14, okay, 14, 8, 34, oh, it's a 6, 5 minus 2, 5, 4, 3, 36. So you can just do that. That's what you're going to do on the test. Just, there's no shame in having to do that. So now these are all different numbers. These aren't all counting up like these ones were. This is not counting up like -7, -7, -7, or these are all threes. These are all different. Oop. These are all different. So when they're different, we still do the same thing. We're going to look at them and put our y's over our x. Here's my change in y over my change in x. My change in y over my change in x. My change in y over my change in x. All I have to do now is simplify. This is simplified. These can both be divided by 3. 36 divided by 3 is 12. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 48 divided by 4 is 12. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Oh, now my fractions are all the same. 12 over 1 are just 12. So you can put a 12, or you could have it as 12 over 1x plus 28. They all simplify. And then here's our last one. So I'm going to do a little line separatey thingy. So I'm going to write my y equals blank x plus. I notice that this doesn't have a 0. So I don't know what's going to go here, but I'm not going to stop right now. I'm just going to skip that step, and I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to find my changes. So this is all plus 1s. So over here, to get from 3 to 8, I add 5. To get from 8 to 13, I add 5. To get from 13 to 18, I add 5. So my slope here is going to be 5 over 1, 5 over 1, 5 over 1. So at least I know that this is a 5 over 1. And then I have to think, how can I get 0? How can I get 0? Well, I know that 0 would be like, if I were to go backwards, it would be right here. So like, all I have to do then is go backwards. So that I was doing plus 1. This is going to be a minus 1. So since I went backwards on this side, I'm going to go backwards on this side. This side rule was adding by 5, so now I'm going to minus 5. So now I have to do 3 minus 5. They are different signs, so I'm going to subtract. So 5 minus 3 is 2, and then I keep the sign of the higher number. So this is going to be a minus 2. So you should have taken notes on all of these. If you need to go back and pause and retake notes, that's fine. So what I need you to do now is, if this is a section you had to retake, here are 4 problems. Copy them down and find your equations. If you don't know how to do them, just copy them down and bring them in, and we'll help you. Otherwise, actually have an answer. So pause the video, copy it, do it. Last one, learning target 5. Construct a linear equation from a graph. So if you had to redo learning target 5, this is where you're watching. All right, so I put all of my graphs on one chart. You don't have to do that. So right now, I am going to start with my red one. I'm going to look at red. Red, I'm going to always look where it starts on this y-intercept, this big line. Remember, it's y to the sky. So this up and down line, where's that big point that's on this line that's red? There it is. What is that point? That point is 0. So again, you can still do the y equals blank x plus, and then this would just be your 0. And then I have to think, how many does it go up? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going up 4. How many does it go over? It goes over 1. So then I can always double check it's going down 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. Very good. So it's 4 and 1. My y, my change in y is always over my change in x. No, those points just went away. I didn't like that. Let's undo that. All right. Let's do green now. Green, green, green. My first thing I want to notice, oh, let's go back to red real fast. What does slope dude say about this line? It's a puff, puff positive, so this should be a positive. If I notice green, this is a negative line, so I know that I should have a negative number somewhere up here, down here, somewhere, but I need a negative. So I'm going to just put a star here that I need a negative. So I'm going to look on this line. Where do I start? Oh, there's my green, so I'm starting at 1, 2, 3. Starting at a positive 3. And then here's a line, or here's a line. So I can go either way. I can, if I'm going to go to this line, I'm going up 1, 2, 3. I'm going up 3. And I'm going backwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going backwards 5. Or I could also see it as I'm going down 3. So I'm going down 1, 2, 3. Going down 3 and over a positive 5. These are both correct as long as you have a negative somewhere. You could even write it as just the negative on the outside. Then it's just a negative slope. I need a negative somewhere in the answer. So then I have 3 because I'm going up or down 3 and then over 5. That's my y and then my x. Let's look at some yellow. I'm going to put that over here. Y equals. So again, I'm looking. This is a positive line. So I want a positive slope. So here's my line. Where's my y dot? Oh, there it is. So I'm going down 1, 2, 3. It's in the negative 3. And then I'm looking. I'm going up 1, and I'm going over 1. Up 1, over 1. Up 1, over 1. Down 1, back 1. Down 1, back 1. So my slope there is 1 over 1, or just x. And then for blue, if I look at this line, up, again, that's a positive line. So I know that this should be a positive slope right here. They should be positive numbers. So I go here, down here, so I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm starting 6 below, 6 in the negative side. Then I'm going up 1. And I'm going over 1, 2, 3. Up 1 over 1, 2, 3. So 1 and 3. So what I need you to do if you got this wrong is here's a bunch of lines. I need you to write them down. So if you want to, you can you can label them different things. We're going to have different equations, but or you can put them in the different colors. Like you can do the blue one in blue, or you can just like say, you can write the blue line is y equals, and then you can write the red line is y equals. So you're going to do this, bring this in, and we'll show you. All right, so pause it and do it.